Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we need to talk about Tropical Depression 4 because it has now developed with that invest we took a look at yesterday, and it's expected to become at least a tropical storm in the coming days. It's also expected to impact the southeastern United States. Now, before I get straight into things, be sure to smash the like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. Also, for today's comment of the day, I want to know, do you think this one will become a tropical storm? Do you think it won't become a tropical storm? Or do you think it might even become a hurricane? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Let's get straight into this video, and first things first, we're taking a look at some of that satellite imagery, and as you can see, this one is really affecting the Eastern Caribbean early on here. It's really getting its act together, and if you look very closely, I mean, it has some very, very tall clouds in there and an organized cluster there, especially towards the top end of all of that. Those blacks and whites are indicating even taller clouds, so that they get even taller and taller and taller there. And I really just feel like this storm, it's pretty close to being a tropical storm, honestly. I think that's going to occur today, in my opinion, but it's going to just be something we have to wait and see about. I really feel like it is looking like it is close, though. Here's the low pressure location, so you can see it's right over the eastern Caribbean there. And as you can see here, now we're taking a look at that cone forecast here from the National Hurricane Center. So first things first, we're expected to become a tropical storm before tonight. So basically today is the expected time frame. We have tropical storm warnings up for Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico because that is where it would basically impact as a tropical storm. But as it heads over Dominican Republic, which it likely will, it weakens to a tropical depression because of those tall mountains, because of that land interaction. I mentioned this to you guys that would likely occur. And then it kind of is able to creep north of Cuba and get its act together a little bit more because half of it, if not more, will be over water, and it will be able to re-intensify into a tropical storm before impacting the Florida Keys, perhaps the Miami area, areas like that in southern Florida, and then heading into the Gulf seems to be the most likely outcome here. So here's the European model's probability of tropical depression, which is obviously at a 90 to 100% chance because it's already a tropical depression. So clearly, it's expected to stay at least a tropical depression for a while now. Now, the funny thing with this model is it doesn't really have this one becoming a tropical storm, or at least it doesn't have a high chance of that occurring. It only has a 10 to 20% chance, and that's over Florida, basically. So this one is really not on board with it becoming a tropical storm yet, although I think it will come around, and that's usually what this individual model does. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on and take a look at some spaghetti model guidance, GFS, European, and Canadian in just a moment. Now, first things first, here is our GFS ensemble model. And as you can see, this one does have it just creeping right along there, along Dominican Republic, Haiti, and Cuba. A couple of these have it heading up the East Coast, where it would likely develop into a stronger storm in that case scenario. But there is quite a few that have this one heading into the Gulf and then curving north somewhere around the Florida Panhandle, maybe Mississippi, Alabama, or eastern Louisiana getting impacted as well. There is also a couple that have this just really kind of going straight through the Gulf, which would be an interesting scenario to say the least. Here is the European ensemble model spaghetti model guidance, and as you can see, again, it creeps right along Dominican Republic, Haiti, and Cuba. This time, however, it curves much more into the Florida Panhandle there and then heads up the eastern interior United States. You can see it does do that kind of curve there. We don't really have any of these heading up the East Coast or anything. This one seems to be really sure about what it's calling for. And then finally, here is our Canadian model, and this one is known for really just doing some wacky things, and it doesn't usually have any idea what it wants to do. And sure enough, there's one showing it hit Mexico there, there's one showing it hit Bermuda, there's one showing, or a few hitting it Canada. So there is a lot of scenarios on the table here according to the Canadian model, but the average seems to be a Florida Panhandle hit, or perhaps East Coast Florida hit, which would also be something that would be interesting because we don't really have any other models calling for that. Now, finally, here is the individual models, and as you can see, a great majority of these have it hitting basically the Florida Keys and then curving right around Florida and heading back in through the Panhandle. This case scenario is a good one because it wouldn't allow it to develop too greatly at all. With it having so much land interaction throughout its entire track, I couldn't imagine this would be too strong of a storm in that case. It would need to have an altered path from what we're showing right here. It would need to be a little bit different. but that is possible, of course, but I just don't see how likely that is. I think this is the most likely path at this point. Here is our intensity guidance, and as you can see, it's expected to creep up towards a tropical storm, potentially a pretty strong one, within the next 24 hours, and then kind of head back down likely towards a tropical depression in about 48 hours. But some models don't have that happening. They have it kind of maintaining a weak tropical storm status. And then it slowly intensifies from that point towards hours 120, which is 5 days out, and even beyond, where we have quite a few of these showing a category 1 hurricane at that point. But quite a few showing just a stronger tropical storm. And then I'm pretty sure that's right around the time frame where it hits the Florida Panhandle, and that's why we see a sharp drop off in the model intensity. So that's I like seeing that chart, the intensity chart, because it shows us exactly when we line it up with the time frame of when it's going to be impacting where, we can kind of come up with the reasons for why it's calling for certain things. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on and start talking impacts, arrival time of winds, the amount of winds. Also going to be talking about total rainfall and total winds in just a moment. All right, now here is our tropical storm force wind speed probabilities, and as you can see, we only have about a 5 to 30% chance of tropical storm force winds within those green areas, but obviously within the gold regions around Puerto Rico, there is a 30 to 60% chance of it becoming a tropical storm within that region. So those areas in Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico will likely be impacted by a tropical storm, forced storm, a tropical storm in general. They will be impacted by one here pretty shortly. It appears likely, if not a tropical depression, that would still bring some nasty storminess. Here's the timing on screen, most likely arrival time of tropical storm force winds. I encourage you to read this and find your area if you're going to be impacted. As always, the National Hurricane Center has access to all of these posts. So if you want to go over to their website, that you'll get a lot more information over there, obviously, of some of these impacts and different graphics and things of that nature. Here's the vorticity according to the European model, so we could just see what this one is showing as far as where things are going to go and when. This is as of around right now, and as you can see, there is that area near the Eastern Caribbean with some oranges and reds. This eventually develops into a much stronger cyclone by the time it's reaching Dominican Republic. And now it's important to keep in mind this is the cyclonic relative vorticity is basically indicating very large areas of rotation, like a tropical storm. So that's why this is such a useful tool. The red's indicating more of that tropical rotation. Here is, by the time we're reaching about 2 a.m. on Saturday, August 14th, 4 days from now, you can see the Florida Keys and possibly Miami area getting impacted by a strong tropical storm by this point, according to the European model. And then by about 2 a.m. on Monday, it is impacting the Florida Panhandle there. And eventually it will head interior through the East Coast, bringing a lot of rainfall. Speaking of rainfall, here is our total accumulated precipitation according to the European model. And as you can see, if you're anywhere in there's no greens hardly, but that would be under half an inch. Blues is half an inch to an inch. Yellows is an inch to 2 inches. And then reds is 2 inches to 5 inches. And then the browns is 5 inches to 10 inches. I can tell you right now we have a maximum somewhere on the screen of about 10 inches, and I'm expecting that to be in between South Carolina and North Carolina there, where we see a very bright tan or even a white shade there. That looks like that is the 10-inch mark there. So there's a lot of rainfall expected for many folks here. Flooding is definitely a big possibility. Here's the accumulated wind gusts. So this just shows us the maximum wind gusts throughout the entire model run. And if you're anywhere in the blues, you're under 34 miles per hour, which is going to be kind of more of a nuisance situation. 34 to 50 miles per hour in the green areas, which is when you start to see potential for some minor damage, if not a very, very big nuisance. And then the reds and oranges is 50 miles per hour to 70 miles per hour. That is what we expect there for the Florida Panhandle at this point, according to the European model. Very, very interesting stuff. We will keep you guys up to date with the latest on the impacts and track and everything with this storm. For today's confidence tab, we are at a 4 out of 6 still. I feel pretty confident in a lot of things, but will it be a tropical storm? Will it be a hurricane? Will it be a tropical depression? That all remains to be known, really, because we don't feel super, super sure of anything at this point. For today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, what do you think is going to happen with the two tropical systems we have in the Atlantic? We had two at that time. We have one now. And Nerd Guru said, Invest 94 will definitely be the one to form into a tropical storm. And sure enough, that has happened. So good for you, Nerd Guru. That was a good call there. For today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons, John Benbenek, James Wade, Dovey Nagel, Lil the Pan, and Donna Carnes, alongside our diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Codalessa, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Sidney Klein, Mark J, Luke Flago, Gary's, John Colisi, Dwight Phelan, and Steven Crenenthal. If you would like to be part of this exciting patron entry of the day, you can do so by joining our very exciting Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comments down below. I would also like to thank our channel members, HairFirms1 and Catbite as well. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to destroy the like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. I will see you guys in the next video.